Let us start our discussion with understanding of HVDC scheme. Earlier, we have already made a comparison based on EHVAC and HVDC technology and several advantages HVDC scheme offers. This is a bird's eye view of a scheme. I have taken this from the literature from the Siemens company. So it is somewhere in the some Western country. Okay. But ultimately, the aim here is to just give you a glimpse of how the HVDC scheme looks like and what are the various components, major components that are present in the HVDC scheme. So let us look into this particular slide. Okay. First and foremost, in the HVDC scheme, you will realize that the major components that are there, they are housed inside the building. They are in the form of converter, that is AC to DC converter, or DC to AC converter. Maybe this station, if it is a sending end, so this will have a rectifier at this end. So converter will have a rectifier, and the receiving end, the other substation, maybe at some far location, it will have a similar type of construction, and inside it there will be an inverter. So this building, which is indicated here, this is in the form of valve halls. This is called as a valve halls or converter building. It is a complete enclosure with a thorough cooling arrangement inside. If you might have visited HVDC scheme at Chandrapur, right? So there are actually two schemes. One is a point-to-point transmission, sending power all the way to Padge near Mumbai, and the other scheme nearby to this one is in Bhadravati. So that's a back-to-back scheme which connects, which provides interconnectivity with the Ramagundam link from Andhra Pradesh. So both the types of schemes are present. But of course, we'll realize what is point to point and back to back, right? So in this building, actually, it is a completely air conditioned and nearly freezing kind of conditions are created within the hall because thyristors are semiconductors and they are carrying they are converting huge amount of power. Okay, so this is a bulk power, maybe 1000 megawatt or 1500 megawatt. So ratings of the thyristors are also available in that range. You might have studied in power electronics that thyristors of the voltage of 6 kV and maybe 1000 amperes, 2000 amperes, individual thyristors are available. So it is possible to connect several thyristors in series and obtain high voltage blocking capability of the order of plus minus 500 kV, like in case of Chandrapur Padge scheme. Okay. It's a 800 kilometer transmission from all the way from Chandrapur to Mumbai. Okay. So that is the first part. That is a converter, right? Then just beside converter, okay, here there are converter transformers installed, right? Rectifier will always require some amount of AC input, so that AC input will be provided through converter transformers, right? Then the next major elements that are visible here in the switching yard, okay, you can realize that there are actually here you can see on this side, okay. Control rooms are there. So control rooms mean basically from where the monitoring of converter scheme, firing angle and the firing angle control and various mechanism, voltage and current and fault, all this control schemes, okay, they will be handled by this particular part of the building. Okay. Next, you can see. Let me just zoom on to this particular area. You can see major portion, okay, it is covered by a switching yard. It seems like a switching yard, okay. Observe here that this right? And similarly on this side, okay, and similarly on the left hand side here, okay. All these are basically filter yards, filter circuits. Because of the converter operation of HVDC scheme, a large amount of harmonics are produced, okay. So that is why we require a harmonic filtration. So filters a major portion of the switching yard, okay, it is covered by the filters, you can see here, isn't it? So uh, the filter yard is covered, this part is also filter, okay, and similarly on the left hand side is this also filters, okay. So this is a filter yard, right? Apart from the filter yard, you can observe here uh, uh, the area all the way here, this particular area, these are all the uh, circuit breakers, okay, isolators, fine. Similarly here you can see here all the way here, there's a lightning arresters, isolators, circuit breakers, these are there, okay. Also here you can see here this, all these poles, these are all lightning arresters, circuit breakers, isolators, meant for interconnecting the various parts of the circuit, okay. And uh, then of course, apart from the filters and switching yard, you do have uh, something visible over here, that is a capacitor bank, mainly for the reactive power compensation, isn't it? So what is there in the filter yard? You'll realize that actually individual components in the filter yards, they are actually here you can see these are the this inductor, okay, right? Then further you can see here is a capacitor bank, okay. Then this is further you can see somewhere here, okay. These are all the resistors, okay. So resistor, inductor and capacitors, the three main elements of the filter circuit, okay, they will be forming. And naturally, why so many filters are required? Because variety of harmonics are produced on the AC side and similarly on the DC side. So this side you may consider this is AC side, okay, and this is DC side, okay. So two poles are here, and here there are three sets of circuits. So R, Y, B phase. This is here positive and negative pole, okay. So consequently, this schemes mostly variety of frequencies are being eliminated uh, in every phases, right? So there are current harmonics, there are voltage harmonics, okay. So this is the typical HVDC scheme that we are observing as a bird's eye view. So whenever you visit a HVDC scheme, you'll be able to explain what are the various components. And of course, studying the scheme with a bird's eye view is not an engineer's way of doing it. And let us switch over to the detailed diagram, schematic diagram. What are the various components that are present in the HVDC scheme, right? Let us check. Okay, here. So observe that we have shown various components. Fine. Uh, First and foremost, you may consider that serial number 1 and 21. So you can see serial number 1 here and serial number here. It is 21. It's not visible here. Maybe it's clipped. Okay. It indicates AC system sources. Maybe some generator connected, or electric network, AC network connected to the converter, okay, on the rectifier side. Similarly, AC network connected to the inverter, okay. So this you may consider to be rectifier, and this you consider as an inverter, okay. So power will get transferred from one AC network after rectification all the way to some distant place where there is again conversion from DC to AC, and then connecting AC network, because most of the loads and everything, they are in the AC form, isn't it? So what are the major components that are present in this particular diagram, right? So mainly you have to realize that uh, this particular area, isn't it? This is a converter, okay, that is a rectifier, okay, and then the other side, that is the inverter side, okay, this is the inverter, rectifier and then inverter, right? Then apart from rectifier and inverter, what are the other elements that are involved here, isn't it? So the other elements that are involved are converter transformers, okay, this is a converter transformer, and similarly this is a inverter side transformer. Why do we require transformer? Why don't we connect AC directly with the converter? This is due to the fact that actually the converter and inverter, they work with the 12 pulse operation, right? So for 12 pulse operation, you require 30-degree phase shift between the line voltages. So you require 6 different line voltages displaced by 30 degrees with respect to each other, so that 12 pulse operation can be obtained. So 12 pulse operation is obtained by having two series connected 3-phase bridges on the rectifier side, similarly two series connected 3-phase bridges on the inverter side. So the supply to these two series connected bridges will be provided from converter transformers that provides the stability to the for the operation of the converter, and so also it takes care of certain harmonics. Okay. Now please observe that apart from the converter, inverter and corresponding converter transformers, right, there is additional set of converter provided. Okay, there is additional set of 3-phase converter provided here, as it is indicated just in parallel with the main converter. So this is the backup converter. Main converters are two 3-phase converters connected in series, but the backup converters, they are also called as bypass valves. They are also called as bypass valves. They are provided in order to have a backup. Let us say in case of some failure or fault or some maintenance in one of the converter units connected here in series, okay, so that will be taken out for maintenance, and in the meantime you have a backup 3-phase converter available, because you don't want to hamper the bulk power supply. There has to be better. So this provides a reliability. These are the bypass valves. Okay. Now let us observe what are the rest of the things available that are visible on the diagram, especially in this particular area. Okay, in this particular area. Now please realize that actually these are firing angle control circuits. 4, 5, 6. Similarly 16, 17, 18. Firing angle control circuit, wherein 6, this particular you can see it is connected to the gate of converter. So 6 is a firing pulse generator. Firing pulses are generated at the ground potential. Later on they are amplified, and through isolation transformer they are sent to the high voltage level, okay, for triggering of thyristors, because this is a power circuit and this is a low power, it's only meant for generating a pulses. So this is done at ground potential, okay, amplified through and then sent through isolation transformer. So this is a pulse generator circuit 6. Here it is 16. Apart from the pulse generator circuit, for operation of pulse generator circuit, you require certain control mechanism. Okay. So there are two types of control mechanism. One is a manual control, that is a 4. In case automatic control fails, the automatic control is 5. So automatic control is where the microcontroller or maybe a computer microprocessor will be generating the pulses considering several parameters like voltage, current and power flow requirements, stability of, so controller is there in the form of a microcomputer, okay, microprocessor, and it generates the pulses and gives the command for firing pulse generator to operate, and then which in turn provides sequential triggering of thyristors. So 4, 5, 6, manual control, automatic control and pulse generator circuit, right? Then what is 3? 3 is actually, you can see here, 3. These are the filters. Similarly, 19. So here it looks like 3, it's a very small element, but you have seen as a switching yard. Okay. You have seen in the switching yard that actually this 3 and similarly here on the other side this 19, this is the filters. Filters are required for stable operation of the converter, because when we convert AC into DC, there are large amount of harmonics are produced on either side, and that is very obvious because we are switching from one phase to another, so there is an interruption of current. Consequently, harmonics are induced on the AC side. Similarly, harmonics are induced on the DC side as well. So those are taken care by the filters connected on the DC side. Okay. Apart from this, the other element that is visible here, okay, please pay attention. This is 2, and on the other side, you may consider this is 20. Isn't it? 2 and 20. So what are 2 and 20? So you can consider 2 and 20 are actually the equivalent impedance of the AC network that is connected to the converter transformer. Equivalent impedance. Okay. And lastly, we come across the elements which are indicated here. First and foremost is the equivalent representation of DC line. It is in the form of capacitance and inductances. But there may be a question in your mind, sir, that since it is a DC circuit, so where is the question of inductance and capacitance? So see, basically inductance and capacitance is a pi representation, isn't it? In case there are harmonics present on the DC side, then this will come into picture and they will be just required for evaluation of behavior of harmonics, isn't it? And apart from this pi representation of DC line, okay, focus your attention that there are large smoothing inductance on both rectifier side, okay, and as well as on the inverter side, smoothing inductance. So these provide elimination of current harmonics on the DC side. Okay, harmonics are produced due to converter operation. So smoothing inductance, they provide uh, removal of current harmonics, and so also they make the DC current constant and provide protection against faults on the converter. Maybe if there is some line fault, so they provide protection to the converter units by restricting the fault current. Okay, so this is basically the HVDC scheme that we have seen, practical scheme photograph we have seen, bird's eye view, and also we are now observing the schematic diagram of HVDC system, right? Same thing has been explained in the form of points. First and foremost, we may consider is a converter unit. Okay, so when we say converter unit, so these are the converter units. They are generally available in the form of single wall unit. Okay, double wall units. You can see here these are enclosure single wall, double wall, or quadruple wall units. So these are actually several thyristors. You can say single wall. Single wall doesn't mean that there is a single thyristor. Single wall means one equivalent switch formed by several series connected thyristors to attain a high blocking voltage of 500 or maybe 700 kV, plus minus 700 kV, isn't it? So a single wall doesn't mean the single thyristor. Rather, several series connected thyristors forming one switch in a three-phase converter. That is a single wall unit. So these wall units, these are available either as a single wall unit, double wall unit, or a quadruple wall unit based on the requirement of the substation. So sometimes single wall, so multiple 4 different walls are required, or maybe double wall units, so 2 are required. So these are stacks. These are when these are removed for maintenance, the whole 4 wall unit will be replaced, and it will be checked, or maybe for the purpose of maintenance or fault clearance or whatever. Okay, so single wall, double wall, and 4 wall units. Please remember, as I told you, that there are actually 2 3-phase converters. One is this, right, and second is down at the bottom. These two are connected in series. Naturally, both will be receiving supply from three phase. So from three phase, one of the unit will receive supply from star star transformer, other will receive from star delta transformer. So observe carefully that on the secondary side you have one as a star transformer output and the other is a delta connected transformer. This provides 30-degree phase shift between the line voltages available to the two different three-phase converters. This provides 30-degree phase shift for stable operation of 12 pulse operation of converter. So generally a single three-phase unit can provide 6 pulse operation. If you remember, the pulse number actually represents the number of output pulses available per cycle of input AC. Okay, higher the number of pulses, the better is the quality of waveform, and better is the output DC voltage and corresponding current. Okay, so please note that most of the practical converters that are being used, they are 12 pulse converters. There are 12 converters. Okay, so two three-phase units are connected, fine, in series. And as I said that the input is provided by star star and star delta transformer with star neutral grounded. Okay, so all these points which I am just discussing is very important. Okay, so you must know these are the gist of the things that we are learning, right? Next, the bridge consists of thyristor walls in the form of, as we discussed, single wall, double wall, four wall units, and each of the wall further consists of several series connected thyristors, several series, because you see one thyristor can withstand a voltage of maximum maybe 4,000 volts or 4 kV or maybe 6 kV, 10 kV as the development is taking place. But when we are going to use such thyristors for converting plus minus 500 kV, isn't it? So naturally, single wall, single thyristor cannot withstand that. Several thyristors must be connected in series in order to obtain the desired voltage rating, right? The triggering of thyristor is generally provided by light guided fiber optic signal generated at ground potential. Okay, so triggering is done through the fiber optic signal, fiber optic. It's a very low power, very fast, no delay or lag is there, and HVDC schemes are known for rapid controllability of power. Later on, these signals are actually given to the pulse transformer. Okay, here pulse transformer, isolation transformer, and then applied to the thyristor level. So these are the points we already gone through. Let us now move ahead and check the further important point is that cooling of the thyristor wall is done through air, water or freon, and liquid cooling by deionized water. Liquid cooling by deionized water is mostly used due to its reduced station losses. See, why we are focusing too much on the cooling? This is because thyristors are semiconductors. They do not have any overloading capacity. If the ratings are exceeded, then they will simply fail and the power supply will be hampered, that too for bulk power transmission. Consequently, for stable operation of semiconductor devices, solid state devices, cooling has to be taken care thoroughly. In no case the temperature should exceed the specified limit for stable operation. Okay. Next are the converter transformers. Okay. So converter transformers can be either a single three-phase unit or three single-phase units. So we have shown star-star transformer, star-delta transformers. These are designed to have low AD current losses. Special transformers, low AD current losses, because harmonics are present. So we have to minimize the AD current. The transformer will get heated due to presence of large amount of harmonics due to converter operation. Naturally, we are taking care of it by using filters. Okay, but we have to make sure that AD current losses are minimum. So that's why a special design. Okay, And the choice of star delta transformer, it gives the required 30-degree phase shift between line voltages. So this facilitates the 12 pulse operation. This facilitates the 12 pulse operation. The 12 pulse operation, you should realize that a 3-phase bridge can operate with a maximum 6 pulse operation. So 6 pulses will be there. Those who understand the conversion of AC to DC through power electronic converters, they will be able to understand the number of pulses. For example, you have let us say half-wave rectifier, a simple single-phase half-wave rectifier. Then it gives you 1 pulse in the output. Positive half cycle is rectified, negative half cycle is nil. Similarly, when you have full wave single phase rectifier, there are 2 pulses in the output. Positive half cycle pulse output will be converted, rectified, it will be available as DC on the output side, and similarly negative half cycle will also be available as positive voltage, isn't it, or rectified DC voltage. So 2 pulses. Like this, 12 pulse operation is generally preferred for bulk power transmission. It gives very less ripple content and flat DC voltage profile. Okay. Next, very important aspect that comes to the picture is filters. I told you the major portion, filters, right? Now, due to the presence of converter unit, a large amount of harmonics are generated, whose order, the order of harmonics, what order of harmonics are produced, isn't it? So very important, you have to realize that the order of harmonics that is produced on the AC side is NP plus minus 1, where N is an integer number, P is the pulse number. So generally, bipolar DC schemes, HVDC schemes, they work with a pulse number of 12, okay, 12 pulse operation. So if this is 12, then we can substitute N equal to 1, okay. So 1 into 12 is 12 plus minus 1. So it gives us this level of harmonics on the AC side. Okay, you just substitute N equal to 1, 2, 3 and so on, and you will be able to get this P equal to 12. So 11th, 13th, 23rd, 25th and higher order harmonics will be present, okay, on the AC side of the converter, right? Similarly, on the DC side, only even harmonics are present. It has the order of NP, P is a pulse number, it is equal to 12, okay, and N is an integer. So correspondingly, on DC side for 12 pulse operation, the order of harmonics that will be present will be 12, 24, 36 and so on. So very important, filters are required for stable operation of converter, and there will be harmonics present. These are called as characteristic harmonics. They will always be present in a AC to DC converter or DC to AC converter, and they has to be taken care with respect to the filters. Any circuit which is providing conversion from AC to DC, chargers, converters, wherever you have a DC supply required, there is a need for filters. Otherwise, there are harmonics created and they produce heating in the components in the AC network, okay, and causes loss. So that is what the filters are there. Next. So generally, what kind of filters are required for 12 pulse operation? Generally, 3 filters are required. Okay, 3 filters are required on AC side, and 2 filters are required on DC side. So how to calculate filter? How many number of filters are required? Generally, one filter is capable of removing 2 frequencies. Okay, so double tuned filters. And both AC and DC filters, they can be of these particular types, that is, they can be either single tuned, double tuned or high pass filters. Okay, so these filters we are going to study in detail later on in unit number 5, how to design the filters and how to select the components and so on. Okay, next. The next element are the smoothing inductance. The function of smoothing inductance is to make the DC current constant, okay, and so also provide protection against the LG fault and commutation failure. So smoothing inductance, these are connected on the DC line, okay, so they take care of DC current harmonics, right, and they make the DC current constant. because we want absolutely flat profile current on the DC side of the circuit for stable operation, okay, while transferring power in the form of HVDC, right? And smoothing inductance also provide a second important thing is that it provides protection against line to ground fault on the transmission line, DC line, and commutation failure. It provides protection against commutation failure. Okay. So let us check what are the range of smoothing inductances that are used for different types of transmission schemes, right? For long distance transmission, which is called as point to point. I was telling you earlier, for long distance transmission, the point to point scheme is used, and this point to point scheme, the value of smoothing inductance is very large. You can see here for bulk power transmission 0.7 to 1.2 henries, right? And for short distance transmission or maybe back to back, in Chandrapur there are two schemes. One is point to point Chandrapur Padge, the other is Chandrapur scheme is Chandrapur Ramagundam in back to back link. Okay, so converter inverter, they are placed in the same building. They are just meant for interconnecting the Maharashtra grid with the Andhra grid. So there the inductance required within a hall, converter inverter at the same location, so values are relatively smaller, 50 to 120 millihenries, right? Similarly, the next component now, the bypass valve, as I told you that it is a single three-phase converter unit, right? It is a single three-phase converter unit connected across DC terminals, and generally it is in the block state, and generally it is used when one of the main converter unit is out of operation. Okay, so this is a bypass, means it will work only when one of the main converter unit is out of operation, or maybe it is removed for the maintenance, right? Okay, so let us check with this particular smoothing inductance. One diagram is available from the standard reference books, just for the purpose of showing you the scale at which these inductances are used because of the bulk power transmission. You can observe here a person is standing here, isn't it? And you can see that this is installed inside indoor inductance. Okay, so back to back scheme. It is a back to back scheme. That's why 270 millihenry for 400 kV DC and 3000 ampere current DC rated. For back to back scheme, this is an indoor connected unit inductance. See the size, very huge. There's other one also, 500 kV DC, 1800 ampere DC. Okay, 150 millihenry. See the size of the inductance, and see the maybe the insulation required with respect to the ground because of the high amount of power handled by the inductor. This is smooth inductor, isn't it? So it is quite. It just I have included this diagram to help you understand the size and complexity of components that are being used in HVDC scheme. Okay. Next is we come to the firing angle control circuit, right? So the firing angle control circuit, it consists of various different strategies. Firing angle control circuit, it works on maybe constant current control, okay, constant current control, then constant extinction angle control, constant voltage control. All these control strategies we are going to study in detail in unit number 4 at a later stage. Okay, at present we must know that how the converters operate. The converter operates based on some firing angle control circuit. Okay, this is the high speed firing angle control of converter, and it uses different strategies, either to maintain current constant, or to maintain maybe the extinction angle constant for the inverter, or to maintain the voltage constant. Different schemes are applicable for rectifier and inverters, okay, in order to provide a stable operation, right? So this is all about the HVDC scheme.